Buenos dias, world. Tonight I'm going to talk about um, something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. You might remember I did a video a couple weeks back about how I lost weight, specifically 60 pounds. And so I've been wanting to make this video about the worst foods you can possibly eat. Um, while it's true that some of the ones I'll be talking about, they'll seem probably pretty obvious, but there's a couple that you might not have put a lot of thought into, and maybe you should think about eliminating it from your diet if you do eat these things. But let me go over what I have here. And the first one is one of the ones I was speaking about that's probably pretty obvious, and that's sugary cereals. When you go in the grocery store and you go down the cereal aisle, you've probably noticed that they put a more adult friendly, supposedly healthier cereals with supposedly a lot less sugar on the top aisles. And then they put all the kids' cereals in the middle and the bottom because it's eye level with what they see. So they can bug you to buy those when you go down the cereal aisle. And the more adult friendly ones are on the top shelf at your eye level. Yes, grocery stores do that on purpose. But the reason why I bring up, the more kid style cereals with all the sugar and whatnot is, we probably already all know that they're bad, but you probably didn't know that those cereals are sometimes up to 56% of their weight is sugar. So when you're eating this stuff, you're not really getting any nutritional value whatsoever out of it. You're basically just eating a bowl of sugar, and that's not even counting the sugar that's in the milk. So if you eat a lot of the kid style cereal instead of the adult style cereal, you're probably getting a lot more sugar in your diet than you realize. On to another more adult oriented thing, which I don't know, maybe some kids do this, but I don't know a whole lot of kids that drink coffee. But you know those drinks you can get from McDonald's, like the McCafe or Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, it doesn't matter. They all have coffee drinks that are already pre-made, like cold brew or whatnot, that they're basically just fat and sugar poured into a bottle. Yeah, you probably would want to stay away from those too, because all these percentages or measurements I'm giving you are not all precise. They're just, I guess you could say, industry averages. But there are some of those type of coffee drinks that are up to 15% saturated fat. So, and that's not even counting the sugar and whatever else they put in there that's really not all that good for you. I know that people probably drink those things for the coffee, but honestly, how much coffee is in those things that when you look at it, it looks like brown milk, I'm going to say there's probably not a lot of coffee by percentage. You're drinking mainly just milk, fat, and sugar. So that's another thing, to kind of keep in mind. If you're looking for that pick-me-up in the morning, maybe you should just drink, black coffee, even though that's maybe not quite as popular with some people. But you honestly don't need all the other stuff that they put in there. I don't know how many people still eat canned soup. you know, you would think you'd be better off just making your own soup and freezing, you know, make a big pot and freeze the rest. But something like Campbell's soup or something like that has very high levels of sodium in it. And I'm pretty sure they do that for the preservative factor, but since it's in a can. But that's, you know, we're talking about a 6 ounce can, you know, somewhere upwards of almost 1,000 milligrams of sodium. That's not good because um, I don't know what the latest science is on that, but I think I saw not too terribly long ago that you shouldn't have more than 3,000 milligrams of sodium a day, and you're already getting 1,000 just from one little tiny can. That's not good. So I mean, in my opinion, you're probably better off skipping um, soup that comes from a can. Just make it yourself. It doesn't really take that long, and it would probably taste better anyway. Um, Another one people probably don't put a lot of thought into. Maybe they do nowadays because some of these things have been demonized over the years, but it's certainly something that we don't buy in our house as much as we used to. But that this product is processed lunch meat. You know, like bologna and ham and chicken breast or whatever they have nowadays. You go down the cheese and meat and um, cold deli section in the grocery store, and you see, you know, just wave after wave of different types of processed lunch meat. All that stuff is obviously really high in preservatives, and it has been linked to type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Now, that's, you know, obviously that's not to say if you eat this stuff, you know, you're going to get that, but it's something to keep in mind because some people are more sensitive to ingredients than others, and those these meats have definitely a lot of nitrites and nitrates, that kind of thing, and it can be bad for you depending on what your health conditions are. But um, another one that you probably wouldn't put a lot of thought into. I know when I read this, I was a little surprised, and that's frozen French fries. Now, yes, granted, French fries are not good for you, but I did not know. You know, 3 ounces is probably about the size of a deck of cards. So, if you went to McDonald's, maybe a small fry, a 3 ounce serving of frozen French fries has 200 calories, which I definitely was surprised about that. It also has, I guess, roughly around 500 to even 700 milligrams of sodium, which is quite a bit. Um, I don't really ever look at the back to see the nutrition information on frozen French fries because I always just thought they were just frozen potatoes, but apparently, excuse me, apparently they do put things in there. I guess long-term preservatives or make them last longer. But you're better off just making your own fries. I know people buy those things because they're convenient, but I don't know. To me, cutting up your own fries really doesn't take that long, and quite frankly, you probably don't even need it in the first place. But I guess every once in a while, if you're used to, if you grew up on a fast food diet or ate a lot of that type of stuff growing up, you probably crave French fries or tater tots, something along those lines from time to time. So my advice would be just to make your own because that way you can eliminate the salt. And you can use whatever oil you want, make it slightly more healthy than what you get from a supermarket frozen food aisle or whatever. And the last one, this is the one that pretty much inspired me to make this video in the first place. And that's because this is a food that in our family growing up, we used it because of the time period. I guess there was a wave going through the United States of, this thing is really bad, which was supposedly butter. Butter was something, if you went to the grocery stores back in, I don't know, 70s, 80s, somewhere around there, you were starting to see more and more margarine on the dairy aisle shelves rather than butter, because they were trying to tell us butter was bad for you. Well, that may not be so accurate. Margarine as a food is definitely not good for you, especially if you look on the back and you see the words hydrogenated oil. If you see that, then you definitely want to steer clear of it, because now we're talking about trans fats, and this is one of the things they say you should avoid in your diet. So I would highly suggest using butter over margarine. And when I use butter, I don't use a lot of it. Butter fat I don't think is as bad for you as trans fat, but I don't know. Just keep in mind that all the things that I've been talking about in this video, it's obviously up to the end user what they use. They can use whatever they want, but this is just my opinions on what I think is good and what I think is bad as far as diet. And this is, after years and years and years of experience, trial and error, doing what works and get rid of what doesn't work. So just keep the things in mind. If you don't really read nutrition information and are thinking about maybe making healthier choices, obviously I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nutritionist, so I bring these things up just for informational purposes. I'm not giving you advice saying do this or do that. That's totally up to you. But I guess more than anything, just learn to read nutrition labels and make an educated decision based off of what you know, and hopefully you can make better choices, and will help you in the long run as far as health goes. So, but anyway, that's the end of this video. Have a good night, and I will talk to you later.